All right, screw it. I am just going to try it out. I am being told that it's not viewable. I can't preview my own live stream before I click live. So, for all I know, I might be talking into the abyss. And if that is the case, I guess I don't really need to apologize. Nobody's listening. We'll see. I'm watching it now. It's going to be delayed just a tad. Give me a second here. And okay, oh, it looks great. And I couldn't view it before I clicked live. For some reason, it was saying an error occurred. Please try again. Playback ID. You know, I'm gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. Kevin Yee says you're late. I'm late by 3 minutes. If that's a sin, then sure, I apologize. But in the corporate world, that's on time. So that's all I'm gonna. That's my case. I'm just gonna say because other people do it, it's okay. Let's see. I see a love you from India. How is it going? Way over. What time is it in India? Let's see what time it is right now. Is India in one time zone or two? Let's see. India time zone. India Standard Time. It is currently 8:33 a.m. over there. Wow. That's oh, you're actually 12 and a half hours? Is that right? 12 and a half hours? Or 11 and a half hours ahead of me, Central Time. That's really cool. You're literally on the other side of the world. And your time zones are like split in half. Like you guys have like 30-minute increments. It's a lot different than how we do it here. It's just cut into hours. So that's weird. Cannon says, much love from down under, Greg. I appreciate that. I have always wanted to go to Australia, and I hope someday soon I'll get to. Nico says, greetings from Germany, 4 a.m. What are you doing up this early? Or, I mean, I guess, is it late? Did you wake up this early, or have you just been pulling an all-nighter? Woo. Stable says, 3 minutes late is early for the WAN show. Excuse me, I'm not going to say anything about the WAN show. It's a good show, but they do often show up just a little late. Will says, ni hao. It's like the only Chinese phrase that Will and I know how to say. Kyle says, looking good, Greg. I appreciate that, Kyle. I would say that you're looking good too, but I can't see what you look like because your profile picture is a letter K. It's like the default K. So let's see. Teek says, I smell like cheese. I'll have to ask Lisa if I smell like cheese. I really hope I don't. I don't like the smell of cheese. Cheese is, I mean, by nature of how it's made, it's technically rotten. I mean, you can have good smelling cheese, but you're still smelling a rotted dairy product in most cases. It's kind of gross. Anyway, let's see. The Silent Joker says I should try to do a build off against Techie City. And Brian and I have talked about this numerous times. The issue is the time zones. That's really difficult to coordinate. We have to be together in the same place at the same time for it to really be fair because our markets are really not comparable. Even if you transfer, even if you basically, convert all the currencies, it still costs more typically for parts in Australia. But I guess if we did like a fully used build, which I guess is what we would be doing if we competed with each other, then we would, I don't know, we'd really have to, figure out how to do it, how to line it all up where we could do it in separate places. Because, I mean, he has his market and I have my market. And I don't know if people would see it as fair or not. People are really touchy. I mean, I'm sure most of you guys know that, but they are very sensitive on on YouTube. So I don't really know how we're going to approach that. I'm going to refresh the page because it said that 12 people were watching, and I just wanted to see if that was actually true or not. Okay, here we go. Double Doggo, what's the best AIO? There are plenty of good AIOs out there. A lot of them use the same pump, so they're going to perform about the same. It really just comes down to which one you think looks the best, ultimately, as long as they're all running the latest Ace-Tech pump. Even some of the older Ace-Tech pumps are fine. They're going to run quiet. You might have a dead pump after a year or two, or 2 weeks. You never know. Luck of the draw. So the failure rate's slightly higher than that of air coolers, I would imagine. But it's really just going to come down to which one you think looks the best and which one is the best value, because they're all going to perform about the same. I've never gotten like an AIO that performs terribly. They all just kind of do the same thing, especially if you're talking about similar rad space too. I got to pause here for a second because Bazinga just donated $100, and I'm going to try my best to give him $100 worth of input here because I really don't think this is why I don't do consulting full time, because I would feel like I was ripping everybody off. Like they would pay me for my time, and I'd be like, that was really easy. I feel like you shouldn't have had to have paid me that much. Bazinga did this out of his own free will, and my dude, you are a champ. Bazinga is always here. Bazinga is always supporting. If you can tell, every time, well, you can't see in the super chat, but whenever he comments, he is a 4-star member on Science Studio, which means he has been supporting us as a member on the channel for at least 4 months now. I'm pretty sure he's been around for like half a year. And hopefully he sticks around. Bazinga is a good guy, and not just because he throws money at me, but also because he genuinely brings good stuff to the table, like this question here. Building system for multitasking videos, Excel, Outlook, stock ticker, okay, cool, data crunching, gaming, plus more on a multi-screen system, all at the same time. Okay, I see where this is going. AMD 2990WX, Intel 9980XE or 7980XE, budget $2K for the CPU, money towards Lisa's Valentine's Day. All right, I'm sure she's watching right now, so I guess I have no choice. I'll take her out to dinner and figure out how else to stretch that $100. That's actually more than I was planning to spend on Valentine's Day. Is that bad? So I will tell her that dinner is on Bazinga. To answer your question, excuse me, AMD 2990WX. I feel like you're gonna multitasking, like videos, Excel, Outlook. That stuff is, if you're gonna do all that at the same time, it really isn't gonna matter which CPU you choose. They can all do it fine. In fact, you could drop down to the Z platform or the Ryzen platform and still be fine, right? You could drop down to X470. You could even get by with a B series board and do most of these things. But if you're talking about data, like serious data crunching, then I don't know, plus more on a multi-screen system. The stock ticker is not going to be that big an issue. Video editing, it's really going to come down to how much you want to spend. I know you have that budget there, but if I was shopping on my own for something that I just wanted to be an absolute workhorse, then oh gosh, that's a tough one. It really depends on the price. It really does. I think that's really difficult. I'd have to really like crunch the numbers myself and figure out which would be the best in terms of the programs you wanted to use, because there are some where Intel's going to benefit you a bit more. And at the same time, if you're telling me that money doesn't matter, then just get the best of the best. I would just go with the 9980XE. Screw it. I know that's really tough to recommend. Like, I don't like recommending the X series chipset really at all, because 95 to 99% of people aren't going to use most of those cores anyway. So I don't know. That's a tough one. But I would say just go all in. Just go ham. Get the 9980XE and call it a day. I mean, what can you do, right? If you want to flex the muscles and you want to have as much headroom as possible, then you're going to get that. You're going to get the overclocking headroom to the extent that, I mean, your system's going to pull upwards of you're going to need a really beefy power supply, put it that way. Make sure you get a good board with solid power delivery standards. And I mean, you're going to need 2 8-pin EPSs for sure. And you know, move on from there. But yeah, I'd just go all in, 9980XE, screw it. And then go for 64 gigs of RAM, at least. I mean, I guess if you're going to throw all in, just get the best of the best, fill up all 8 DIMM slots, and show it off to everyone who walks in. Let's see, Faley Sowers, is that how you say your name, Faley Sowers? Greg, does more VRAM help push more higher FPS and higher resolution in games? So having more VRAM is not going to give you a higher frame rate in and of itself, but what it can do is reduce your frame rate if the GPU is not able to store as much in memory. Like if it's filling up memory entirely and it's not able to load everything it needs to, then it's going to have to run all those things real time, and that's going to cut into your frame rate. It's going to increase the load on the GPU as a result. You do have things like page filing. You can store things in system RAM, but it's all got to move through to the GPU, and it's much faster if it's already stored in not system RAM, in your video memory. So it's more or less a bottleneck issue. That's how I would look at it. So most cards aren't going to inherently bottleneck themselves. There are exceptions to that rule when there are 3 and 6 gig variants of cards or 4 and 8 gig variants of cards. Typically, the lower VRAM offering is going to be a bottleneck sometimes, and that's why they offer 2 options, right? So in the case of the 1060, the 1060 is a 3 gig card and a 6 gig card. Depending on which one you choose, you could run into a bottleneck with your video memory. So if you stack on tons of texture packs and you extend distance scaling to max, and maybe you frame scale and do all this other crazy stuff with the 1060, which I don't recommend you do with that caliber card. But anyway, if you did, 3 gigs of RAM might be a bottleneck. In fact, in a lot of modern games, it will be a bottleneck. So make sure that you are aware of the limitations with the game you're playing with respect to the VRAM that you have at your disposal, and just be a little, be flexible with your in-game settings. You're going to have to adjust things, especially if you're on a card with a lower amount of VRAM. I would say anything under 4 is going to be difficult to get by with in some modern titles. That said, those cards probably are going to struggle in general running those modern titles if they only have 2 gigs or so of RAM. So that's why I don't typically recommend the 3 gig 1060, because you could run into that bottleneck potentially. But if you're on a tight budget and you're not looking for the best of the best in terms of in-game graphics, then you could certainly drop some settings in-game and get by with 3 gigs. So it's a bottleneck. It's not something that's going to give you more frames in-game if you already have enough and you have extra, memory left over that's not being used in the card. So, yep. Here we go. Scrolling down here. By the way, Bazinga says I need to do 20 push-ups for being 3 minutes late. See me on Twitter, Bazinga. I'll do it. Screw it. I'll do it. Let's see. Spider says his Corsair pump failed after 6 years. I'd say that's pretty impressive. I'm not sure what the average lifespan is or the life cycle is of that pump. I'm assuming it's an Acertec pump. That's pretty good. I would say that's to be expected. I would expect it to fail earlier than that. If you use your system quite often, then that's no small feat for sure. Let's see here. Gatamon asks who makes an AM3 Plus board with M.2. I don't know. I haven't actually paid attention to that. It's been a while since I've addressed M.2. It's been a while since I've addressed AM3 in general. I'm actually going to revisit it very soon. I don't think the board I have on hand supports M.2. I mean, this is something you could search for yourself. I could search for it, but I think it's a waste of time. You could do it just as quickly as I can. If there are even boards that do support it. I'm not sure. I haven't done that research. Let's see. Scrolling down here. Answer a few more questions. I don't want to get into the graphics card shrouds. I do have to honor the title just a little bit, but you guys have really good questions here. Let's see. A good question from Evolve203. Hey, Greg, would you recommend an R5 1600 or 2600 a pair with an RX 588 gig for a gaming, streaming, PC, and building? Either one's going to be fine. Obviously, the 2600 is going to overclock just a bit better. You're going to have more stable power delivery when you overclock up to about 4 to 4.2 gigahertz. It's a very linear scale up to a point, and then it's going to really take off. I would also say that if you're worried about memory speed, memory frequency, then going with Zen Plus will be a better option. So the 2600, you will get marginally better frame rates in games because of that as well, since the Infinity Fabric is tied to memory speed dependencies. So 2600 is a better bet. It just really comes down to how much you want to spend for it. If you're going to spend a little more to get the 2600 and feel good about it, then get the 2600. I'm not in your shoes, but that's what I would do. I would just go with the 2600, unless there was like maybe a $50 disparity between the two, in which case I think the $50 you could probably push into a better graphics card and make up for the difference in the the RAM frequency anyway. So you just have to play around in your market. Let's see, scrolling down. Brother Dave asks what games I play. I'm not sure if he's asking me or somebody else. I play a lot of City Skylines. I love kind of like open world, like simulator games, that kind of thing. Like any kind of sim game. Like I like the Sims. I played the Sims a lot growing up. I like Sim City games. Like Sim City 4 was a really good one for me. I even played the old school Maxis ones like Sim Golf. I play PUBG quite a bit. I play a little bit of GTA 5 still, Call of Duty, and then a little bit of Battlefield 5. I just got into Grip, which is like a rehash of Roll Cage Stage 2 or Death Track. That was a game that I played when I was a kid on my dad's old Compaq back in the day. It's really not that far back in the day, but very, very different from today in terms of the technology we have at our disposal. Let's do one more question here real quick. We'll get back to the questions again. Don't freak out. I do want to address the graphics card shrouds because we actually had quite a number of people submit pictures of either their cards or cards that they found online that they really liked the design of. And this isn't really anything scientific. We're not going to get into like the different thermal solutions and how effective each is. We're just going to look at some sexy graphics card shrouds, and it's going to be our I don't know. It's going to be our little chill time here, and then we'll jump back into the questions. You guys are awesome, asking a ton of stuff. Let's see here. Bazinga wants me to try World of Tanks. I could certainly do that. Let's see. Okay, here. Okay. G12. I'm looking for something juicy. Let's see, scrolling down here. Andrew asks, "Hey Greg, I'm doing a 1080p build. I've got a 1066 gig on an Intel 8th gen platform. Am I good? What kind of Intel CPU? I mean, I think even if you paired an i3 with that, you'd be fine in 1080p, honestly, because the i3s now are proper quad cores. Most games are going to be still fine with 4 cores. So yeah, I think that's a good target, what you got going on there. And then you chose a 6 gig variant, which I think was wise as well. Zeppelin asked what DLSS is. Literally uploaded that video yesterday, so you can watch that video on your own time. And then Abel, what do you think of the RX 580 8 gig? I've reviewed it, so you can watch my review on an RX 580. I've even talked about RX 580s, especially in the used market. They're great value. Really great value. All right, so into the topic at hand, I'm going to pull up Twitter here because I want to show you guys some of the... Yeah, let's see here. I want to show you guys some of the, not entries, but just the submissions you guys made regarding your favorite GPU shrouds or graphics card shrouds. So my favorite, and I make no secret of this, is this right here. I think this is one of the best looking graphics card shrouds on the market. And I say that for a few reasons. First off, I want to make very clear, EVGA is not paying me, or we didn't even talk about this. I'm just doing that. I haven't worked with EVGA in quite a while. They send power supplies. I like their power supplies a lot. They use Seasonic for quite a number of them. I like Seasonic power supplies. And then I've gotten a few cards from them, but nothing recent. I just wanted to show you guys which shroud I think is the best looking. And I mean, it's going to be subjective, totally subjective, but I really like this one because it's just simple. There's nothing super crazy about it. I like the honeycomb design over the LEDs. Again, very subtle LEDs, black shroud, black fans, runs very quiet. It's just it's a reference board. There's nothing special about this card at all in terms of like, it's not overhauled. It's not constructed from the ground up, redesigned. It is just, I don't know. I think it's very clean looking. So, yep. And let's see here. You guys on Twitter have been sending me your opinions for the favorite for your favorite ones. I'm going to show you guys some of these live. So let me get the screen capture ready to go. I'm going to see if I can. All right, we're going to have to click this and then scroll down. Okay, there we go. That's pretty good. All right. Okay, so we're going to swing this around. How does that look? Okay, I got to move it just a little bit further over. That doesn't really do us any good, does it? Let's see. If I can do it like that. There we go. That's not too bad. That'll work, I think. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if I can zoom this in just a tad. Sorry, I'm trying. Let's try it again. Let's see if this works. I'm not even sure if I'm like, I guess I'm live. I just opened the, I opened Streamlabs back up and click go live again. I'm assuming it's the same feed, so we'll see. I'm watching myself live and I have no idea if it's actually working or not, but we'll just roll with it. Okay, I guess it's working now. Okay, so I'm gonna pivot back to this screen. Great. All right, I'm just gonna leave it as is. I'm not gonna try to change anything about this. So I'm gonna scroll down. You can see some entries here. Yeah. All right. I think that's really all we need to see with this. I'm just joking. Okay. So this is a transparent shroud, and you know, I've been wondering why this isn't more common. I know EVGA did something similar to this, I want to say, with their 2080, maybe the 2080 Ti. Of course, it's a blower style card. Not a fan of blower style cards, but it's, I mean, it's decent. It's different, I guess I should say. And it's definitely vintage. So there's that. Scrolling down to, let's see, this other entry here. It's an XFX Shroud. This is an older card from a 7000 series. So you would see this probably in something like a 70, 79, no, not 7970. I'm not sure which card this would be, but I get it. It's simplistic. You got the silver on the top, silver on the bottom. You got the rings around the two fans. I think two fan cards look really great. I do have, I don't know, I do have like a secret crush on three fan cards. That's what Jacob points out here. These definitely look good, right? This is the EVGA 1080 Ti. This is the ASUS Strix equivalent. And I agree, these look really good. But these often cost a lot more than their two-fan counterparts. I mean, they're just beefier cooling solutions, and oftentimes they're overkill, especially on the RTX cards. They're just overkill. So there's that. Here's another three-fan card. This is the Fury Nitro. I actually have this card. Well, my brother uses it right now, but this is the R9 Fury. And the Sapphire Nitro version has three fans. It actually extends, so I don't know if you can see this here, but the PCB ends about right here. And then the shroud extends further over, and there's just kind of like a, if you saw the other side of it, it'd just be kind of like a plastic interweaving there on the back side. So the cooler is actually a lot bigger than the PCB is, and that's just because these cards generally run pretty hot. So, yeah. Let's see if we have any smaller cards. Let's see, I see someone here. Aaron says he likes the GeForce, or the ACX 3.0 cards from EVGA. Ooh, blow. I think Laggy Boy's being just a bit of a troll here. Radeon HD 6970 with that classic blower style. You guys remember the cards that had like your favorite video game characters on them? Like, it was a totally different time back then. This one is, it's definitely old school, but I don't know. It just gets you thinking. Okay, we got some water blocks here. This is a different. This isn't really what I had in mind, but I could definitely see how you guys would like this kind of stuff too. Custom cooled stuff always looks good. I mean, you could take like I haven't even seen to date an ugly graphics card water block. Like I have never seen one. They all look good, especially when you turn the card sideways and you can see straight into it from the side of your case. To me, that just looks too good. Let's see, scrolling down here to another one. We got Mike. Mike Sanchez is showing off his EVGA. I'm not sure if that's a 1070 or a 1080. They use the exact same shroud, but he used that vertical mount, and it is looking mighty fine. I mean, when you like a shroud this much, you got to show it off, right? And so that's what he's doing there. Looking really good. We have another entry for the double dissipation ghost cards. This is a 70. Yeah, this is a 7970. So this is the okay. A close second would be the Nitro plus RX 580. So SFX or XFX cards and also the Sapphire series cards. Seems like there's a trend here. Interesting. Scrolling down, what else do we have? All right, we got Donnie Weaver. We got an entry for Honey Nut Cheerios. You guys can see the Honey Nut Cheerios right there. This is not a plug for Honey Nut Cheerios, but you get the point. And then we have an RX 590. Looking good. Is that RX 590? Yeah, 590. I don't have a picture, but the Radeon R9 380X Nitro is the most simple yet elegant design GPU I've ever seen. I even considered buying one for decoration, but I do have one of these. Cheerios for scale. It's literally the size of a cereal box. It's pretty good. I like it. I like it. Scrolling down, let's see what else do we have here. Yeah, super clock 1060 models. I like this because all of these EVGA ACX cards look pretty similar. Even the 1050 Ti's had similar shrouds, so you weren't really losing the aesthetic factor when you paid less for a cheaper card. I like that. We have here. Ooh, this one's looking good. I'm not sure which card this is. I haven't seen it yet. I'm sure it's probably Vega 56 or 64, or maybe that the Radeon 7. It's one of those, I'm sure. It looks pretty futuristic. Yeah, Sapphire does a great job with cards. I've got to give him credit. I mean, this is looking pretty good. And I guess a 3-fan card, right? So it looks like you have 2 larger fans. These might be, ooh, if I had to eyeball it, maybe 100mm fans. And then this one here is probably 80mm. I'm not sure, but just off the top, well, it might be a little bigger than that. But this is looking really good. I wonder if this like whole thing lights up or not. I've never seen this card before. I can't believe it. It looks really good. And then you got the Sapphire logo up top. Looks like 2 8-pins, so it's definitely power hungry. And let's see what else we got here. Jeremy is showing off his RTX 2070. This is the EVGA card. Can't really see the shroud, but I do like it when you got this. This isn't really as subtle as I'd like, but when you have the glowing logo of not only the company but also the card you're sporting, so people who peer inside are going to know exactly what you are sporting. Let's see here. What else do we have? Anything else? Okay, cool. We got the WindForce cards. I agree. These look pretty good. So like the 970s, like the G1s from Gigabyte, these look really good. I had a couple of these cards. I'm pretty sure this is the 9... It's either the 970 or the 980. Well, it might be the... I say that now. It might be the... what does it have? 2 DVI... So I wouldn't think that's a 9. I don't think that's a 980 or 980 Ti. I might be wrong, but with an 8-pin and a 6-pin, kind of hard to tell. Could be like a 780 or something. I'm not sure if they use that shroud for the older stuff, but that is a good looking card. I agree. I remember that WindForce logo load up like a deep blue. It was good looking. So that's a good entry there. I agree with you on that one. All right, Andrew Crane saying that his is the MSI Twin Frozer 2. And you know, I've got to be honest with you here. This actually looks pretty sick because the shroud doesn't really cover the entire PCB. It's not even covering the entire cooler. Actually, you can see part of the fin stack right there. And then you can see these massive nickel-plated copper heat pipes working their way into it. This is pretty cool. That's not bad at all. This would be one of those cards I definitely want turned sideways because those heat pipes coming out of there just look super sexy. I actually agree with you. This is definitely an older card. You can see he's sporting 2 DVI ports, but it's still good looking. Look at that. You got the MSI carved into the backplate. That's pretty chill. I like that one. That's a good one, Andrew. Okay, here it is. I knew we'd see one of these. Charles is partial to the new Radeon GPUs, so this one here is the Radeon 7, it looks like. And I don't know, what do you guys think about this like lit up cube in the corner? They did this with Vega, and I mean it's different, you know, it is different, but is it really worth? I don't know. To me, you're stuck with red, right? So if you have a blue color scheme going on, and then all of a sudden you got this red R, like even if you turn it off, you can still see that it's red because it's actually like a red plastic cube in there. I don't know. I think the shroud itself looks really good. But this up here in the corner, it's just not my cup of tea. It's just not. And I heard these run pretty loud, so we'll see. I don't have one in the studio, so I can't really comment on build quality or anything. But just from the looks of it, I mean, it doesn't look too bad. Let's see. Powerhouse here is talking about what's he got over there? That's an Asus Strix. It looks like either. I can't tell if it's an RTX card. I don't think it is because it would say RTX right there, I believe. So it's probably a 1070 or a 1080. Oh yeah, 1080 Ti. Yep, and that's a good looking card. I'm actually rocking the RTX 2080 right now, so we are very comparable in terms of graphics card horsepower, my friend. That's a good choice. The only thing I hated about these cards, and they still kind of have this issue, but not as bad. And I mentioned this in the review of the RTX 2080 from Asus that I got, is that the LEDs on both the front here, you can see where it says Republic of Gamers, and also on top the ROG logo. These do not sync up perfectly. Like if you set these colors to, let's say you set the whole thing to white, then this is going to look white-ish, and this is going to look blue, or vice versa. You get what I'm saying? So like they're not both going to look identical. If you set these both to purple, one's going to look a deeper purple and one's going to look, you know, a lighter shade, more like pink. And they just wouldn't sync up because the LED, the zoning for the LEDs themselves was just off a little bit. And I understand, like, you're trying to cram all that into a space between the backplate and PCB, but still, it just kind of bothered me. It was the only thing I didn't like about the ASUS Strix cards. But if you're not a fan of RGB anyway, you can just turn all that crap off and you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, let's see. But yeah, those are the entries so far. If you guys have more, then feel free to let me know, and I'll zoom through them on Twitter, and we can assess them. So if you have an entry, you guys can follow me on Twitter. You don't even have to follow me. You just tweet at me, and I'll see it. So click the Twitter handle link down below in the video description. Upload a picture of either your rig, whatever you're currently sporting, or a picture that you ripped from online of your favorite graphics card shroud. And we'll go back through in a few minutes and reassess some of the new entries. But anyway, I like the trend. That's what I really wanted to get to. I like the trend graphics card designs are taking. It's not, I mean, there's really no benefit to the way the card looks other than the fact that you feel better about the build when you're looking at it, right? We put our PCs on our desk because we want to look at them. We want to admire the sheer beauty and the computational power packed into such a small space, especially when you build them yourself. Like, you feel a sense of pride. That's good. That's normal. And on top of that, having hardware that actually looks really good, you know, at the same time, is just the icing on the cake. And I make no secret of the fact that I do probably weigh the stylistic, the design factor of a build more than I should, because ultimately, at the end of the day, you're not going to get any extra frame rate. You're not going to get any, you know, reduction in render times or anything by making your build look a little more sexy by using custom cables or whatever. But I treat my builds like art. I try to treat all of them like art, even the cheapest ones, like the $300 builds. I try to make them look as good as possible in the budget constraints that we have, just because I try to take pride in what I do. You know, whether it's an expensive build or a cheap build, you can still cable manage. You can still, you know, try to fix some of the issues with the, you know, maybe, I don't know. I mean, just, you could use your imagination. Just things you could try to fix up, make them look a little better. That's why I always pick on the cable management when I look at Craigslist builds, you know, because, like, if you're trying to sell your build and I can tell that you didn't take any time to make things look decent, I gotta call it out. I mean, that's what I'm thinking in my head, so I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna be honest with the thought process that I have when I see ads like that. You know, if you value your time and you value your input into your build that you're willing to sell to somebody else, in my opinion, you should take a few extra moments, cable manage, try to clean things up on the inside, especially when you're gonna take pictures of it and post it online. That's just my take. Some people call that picky. I just call that having a certain standard, and I would never buy a build unless I was doing it for the obvious reason of buying it because it was ugly. I would never buy a build that just looked trashy, that had cables everywhere, that was filled with dust. I couldn't do it. I couldn't, even if it was a $100 build, I couldn't do it. It just, I don't know. STS says, don't care what anyone says, aesthetics matter to the buyer too. Absolutely, yes. And look, you can have your own standard. I'm not telling you how to buy a build. I'm not telling you what your standard should be. I'm just being honest with my own standards because, I mean, I've been doing this for a while. I think that there's a certain way it should look, and if it doesn't look anywhere close to the way that like the optimal way, you know, like you routed your cables, you tucked them in where you should have, and you kept things out of the way so that you're not impeding airflow or anything like that. If you did all those things, that's good. But if you didn't, you know, yeah. The Verge build. That one. Oh, gosh. Let's see here. You guys are rocking and rolling. Scrolling up. I'm going to see if we have anything looking. My man Zach says he just posted his card on Twitter. All right, we got some entries here. Oh, yeah, you guys are awesome. I see the submissions. Looking good. Okay, all right, we're going to have to go through these again. Oh, yeah, we're going to have to go through these again. Okay. I think I'm just going to scroll up in my notification feed so we can look at these. Okay, so here we go. Pivoting back to, very quickly, the graphics card shrouds, since we're on this topic, on the topic of aesthetics. Here we go. Let me slide this over. Is that going to work? I think that's good enough. Whatever, you get the point. You get the point. All right. So, oh, looking good here. All right, these are looking nice and juicy. Okay, so we got two chances. I came from a time when cards were single slot, and yeah, I mean, okay, all right. I don't even know what card that is. What is it? I can't. No context clues. GV N95 TOC. I'm sure that I don't know. Maybe that's like a way to figure it out. But yeah, blue PCB with a gold shroud. That's like the size of my palm. What do you guys think? The old school stuff. I'm sure some of our older folk have a preference toward the simpler designs. I get it. I mean, technically, you're going to be paying more for this anyway. I do like the fact that on these cards, you can swap out the shrouds. It's really cool that EVGA does this. I like, I really like just companies that give you a bit of flexibility in that sense. Like if you want to tweak it, make it look a little more like yours, you know, let's say you prefer red, then just swap the shroud out, right? Really cool. Fractal does that with their Define and Meshify cases. Well, the Meshify cases for sure. You can swap out the mesh front filters. To me, that looks just really cool. It's a cool thing that they give you the option to do that. You know, they're not very expensive either to swap these out. So, yeah, again, it's just an aesthetic play. Like, this is not going to give you any extra frame rate, right? I mean, you'd have to be, I don't know, an idiot to think that this would give you extra frames in game. But it's going to look really good. It's going to make you feel a little better about your build, especially if you're going for a certain color scheme. So, yeah, and then just to touch on the EVGA 1080 Ti for the Win 3 cards in general, I think this is a really nice design. Really do. This is one of my favorite designs, honestly. Let's see, scrolling up here, we got the Accelero Extreme 4. All right, on a stock GTX 1080. So you can see the shroud of this cooler extends quite a bit past the PCB. This is a triple slot. I mean, this is one of those aftermarket ones you can kind of just pack on there. Yeah, I mean, these aren't the most beautiful in my opinion. I think they're a little more rugged, a little more industrial. But yeah, I mean, it does the job, right? It's gonna be better than the stock cooler on these 1080s. So there you go. You get a quieter system, you get a different look. I think that's yeah, that's money right there. Silver says that he likes this shroud right here. Really hoping they bring it back for the 2080 Ti. I would totally rock that. So this is like a hybrid. I'm pretty sure. This is like a hybrid cooler, and this yeah, the Poseidon series. Yeah. So it's active cooling in the sense that you have fans working, right, to cool VRM, all that good stuff. You also have the pass through with the water block integrated. I'm pretty sure. I've never built with this block before, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. At least it's going to be somewhat water cooled, unless this is just one big troll, and I'm going to sound really stupid live if that's the case. But interesting design, and yeah, I agree. I think Asus fans look really cool. There's nothing really like special about the way they look. But I think that's why I like them so much, because there's so many fan blades, and they're just kind of flat monotone. It's a different look, and I think that a lot of people appreciate that. Pictures of my old XFX RX 480 Black Edition. I love the backplate. Yeah, I thought these black backplates were pretty cool. I like how it cuts out right around that GPU brace. I really like this cutout here. It's not for everybody. You know, again, it's some people I'm sure are going to hate this. I'm not really sure why there are a ton of holes punched over here. I don't know, maybe that was just for like just letting heat pass through. I have no idea. You can see the blower over here. Look, these cards, they weren't the greatest in terms of cooling capacity and being able to stay quiet, but I think they did a pretty good job with the reference model. I think frankly though, NVIDIA has been doing better recently with their Founders Edition cards. Even though it's a pain in the butt apparently to take apart the RTX 2060, it is a beautiful card. And it's a very heavy card. You can just tell there was just quality, attention to detail went into it, to an extent anyway. Peter wants me to rate his build. Well, Peter, it's a little difficult to rate a build that I can't really see in the inside. Well, I mean, I can see the inside of it. Let's see here. What is this? What is it? Is that your USB 3.0 cable? You should probably swing this thing through this little rubber grommet here. That way it's just poking over, just like that, right? That's the first thing that I noticed. Let's see. You have your AIO tubes. You have one going way up there. I don't know where it comes back down, but that's all right. You have a green color scheme very clearly. this is kind of bothering me over here. That white LED, you got everything else is green. I know you can't change that, but still, I mean, it's a clean build though. Apart from this cable, this is the only thing that really caught my attention. I think it's not bad. And you have looks like a Corsair 570X. Not my favorite case to build in. It's a difficult case to build in, but it is a beautiful case. So I'll give you that. Yeah, it's not bad. If I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, just from an aesthetic standpoint, I'd say it's like a 7.5. I don't think it's ugly enough to be like a 6, but I don't think it's like super beautiful to where I want to rate you an 8 or 9. I'm going to be kind of savage when it comes to this stuff, but I mean, yeah. Let's see. Next one is the Radeon. So these are the mega cards we were talking about, and this one's a gold one. I mean, do you really like? It's gold. It's just an interesting color scheme. Like I don't know. This was that I forget what this is. This is like that initial like launch model. I forget what they called it. Somebody knows what they called this. But anyway, I think it's okay. Again, this goes back. This is like similar to how AMD does most of their Founders cards with that blower style cooler. The back plates look pretty cool, as we just saw. But yeah, the Titan cards, the Titan Founders Edition cards. I think I like this better than I like the Radeon card here. I mean, this is too plain for me. Like you got this random yellow logo, and then you got the blower, and that's really it, right? But then you get up here, you get to this one. I know you can't really see it very well. It's a small image, but to me, this just looks more appealing. You can see inside. You can see the fin stacks in there. They've done a little more here to make the blower seem like it's a part of the shroud. And then it's all black on top of that. I'm a big fan of all black components. So that looks really good. You got to pay a price tag for this, and it's no small price tag. But still, if we're just judging aesthetically speaking, I think this is pretty good. It's one of my favorite ones. All right, scrolling up here, we have the old 780 Ti from MSI. This is looking good. This is another one of those where like it's a very particular color scheme. So if you like yellow a lot, then this is going to be something that you really enjoy. I mean, as far as I know, there was nothing really spectacular about this card, but it was a beefy card and it kept things rather cool. 780 Ti wasn't the most efficient, but it, when paired with a cooler like this, wasn't bad at all. Stayed pretty quiet. As far as I know, it's been a while since I've touched 780 Ti. The last 780 Ti I tested, actually I only tested one 780 Ti, I want to say. I'll have to go back and find that video, if I even made a video on it. I know I bought one from eBay, but I don't know if I actually made a video. I bought a 760 and I made a video on that one too. Oh, well, I threw it into a build. But anyway. Yeah, so this is cool. I like it how they have the two larger fans. I think it's probably close to 100 mil fans, or maybe 90, 80 mil, and then a smaller one here in the center. This one actually looks more like 80 mil. Yeah. So another one that I agree with that. We have another entry for the ICX FX FTW3 from EVGA. This is a good looking card, can't deny it. And is this a white shroud? I can't tell if it's white or silver, but either way, it just looks really good. This is one of those cards I'd want to turn sideways, And you got the Titan X. This is the Jedi, the Last Order, I want to say. The specials. And this one, I don't know what happened to the picture. Anyway, it just looked a little, it was cool. It was supposed to be like a lightsaber, basically. Moving on, we have the Kraken. So we have the NZXT, what is this, the G12 bracket. And we have a Kraken, it looks like, cooler stamped to it. Compatible with Acertec pumps. And NZXT is kind of lit up over there. Yeah, it's a nice shroud. I don't know if I made a video dedicated to the bracket. I want to say I did. I know I have a couple in inventory, but I don't know if I've used one yet. I just haven't had to use one. Yeah, this is a cool idea. And then frankly, I mean, they're pretty popular too, as far as I know. People that want to, water cool their graphics cards but don't want to throw custom loops into their rigs can do something like this and keep their graphics cards nice and chilly, at least until those water temps warm up. So yeah, we have quite a number of entries still. We'll get through those. I don't want to take up all your time just looking at graphics card shrouds, but it's fun to just kind of reminisce to an extent, and also just imagine how much better graphics cards are going to look 10 years from now, 5 years from now. Like, what are we going to have next? Like, what's the next big thing, right? RGB was so cool 4 or 5 years ago. Now people are just either upset by it or expect it. probably both. So you have to expect this will move into something else, right? If it's not RGB, what's it going to be next? What's the next big thing? So I imagine RGB will stay in the mainstream for quite a while, but there'll be something else, I think, added to it, some other way to manipulate the colors that will help graphics cards sell, because there are so many options out there, right? You got Zotac, Gigabyte, EVGA, MSI. I mean, heck, even like companies like ASRock are making graphics cards now. And like what, like all this competition, granted, a lot of them are designing their own custom PCBs, but still, they're all going to perform fairly similarly, especially like with these RTX cards, they're all held back by their power limits, right? So they're all going to run at 60, 70 degrees Celsius. It's really just going to come down to how expensive they are and how good they look. And that's where these companies are trying to set themselves apart. Do they look really good? Can you customize this? Can you change this? It's just another competitive advantage they're trying to take advantage of. I don't blame them. I'd do the same thing if I was in that market. So, I mean, there's exciting stuff for us. Competition is a good thing. And I expect we'll continue to see things like this over time, all these new launches, all these new cards, new shrouds, new designs. I'd love to be a member of the design team for graphics card shrouds. That would be so fun. Like I would have to also keep in mind that the shroud itself should not really limit the card's ability to cool itself. That's a separate issue. We'd have to run several tests to verify or deny any claim relating to that. But yeah, that'd be really cool. Cole says, I think more minimalist designs are going to be more popular in the future. Probably. I mean, look, AMD's kind of already banking on that, right, with their Founders Edition cards. So, well, not Founders Edition cards, you know what I mean, the reference cards. So it's possible. It could be possible. Let's see here. Quinn Valentino says, stupid question. There's no stupid question, unless you're trying to be stupid. But you're not. This is a genuine question. Would it be a stupid idea to try and put a different cooler on my GTX 1080 GB G1 gaming, no RGB 8 gig card, plagued by coil whine? Coil whine, we have a video talking about coil whine. I almost pointed to a card that's not going to show up. Type in Science Studio coil whine. I talk about what it is. I had an issue with that in my XPS 13. It is a board issue. More than likely, you could have some sort of whine coming from the fans, some from the bushings, but it's probably going to be a board issue, and it's going to be really difficult to isolate that. There are things like you can kind of like coat some components like inductors on the board with like a coating that prevents them from rattling, because that's basically what coil whine is. When you run current through them, they rattle, they make a lot of noise. That's that high-pitched squeal you typically hear when cards are under load, when power is being pushed through those components. But it's going to be a board issue more than likely, so I don't think changing the shroud or changing the cooler on the card is going to do you much good. I hate to say that. You could try. I mean, if you have some time on a weekend, you want to try it out, what the heck. But I don't want you to get your hopes up, because I don't think you're going to be too surprised by the results, especially after now. Let's see here. I just saw Will's picture on Twitter. Will is ready for some PUBG. We'll have to play some PUBG after this. Okay, I'm waiting for some of these. Something like, I don't know why I have fiber. I have like gigabit internet, and I can't even load in some of these pictures. Or maybe it's just your account may not be allowed to perform this action. I can't open a picture from somebody tweeting at me. We'll see. Anyway, we're gonna go back here. I just want to make sure. Gonna scroll through. Wow, plenty of entries now, you guys. This is awesome stuff here. This is more content, more stuff to show off. So I'm going through these, making sure there's nothing weird. And yeah, looking good. Okay, so I'm going to pivot back to this screen. And we're going to go back down here, all the way back down. To one of our last ones was, I believe, the Titan. Maybe the Titan card. Yep. So we have, well, you can't really see it here. Eddie's wanting us to rate his first build. Looking good. Looks like you routed all the cables in the right spot. So that's nice. You had one of those power supplies that had like the not daisy chain, but you know what I mean. Those like the connected VGA cables. I know exactly I know how big of a pain those are to deal with, and I actually like what you did there. It looks like you took a zip tie and you just tied it down so it didn't hang awkwardly. It's actually a pretty clever idea. I like that. Looks like you got something similar to a Hyper 212 Evo up there. You got 2 DIMMs, and everything's clean over here. This is looking good. This looks like a not a maybe a fractal case. I don't know. No, it's not a fractal case. I can't tell what kind of case it is, but look, you did everything that you could have done, I think, given the time that you had and the space that you had and the parts that you had. I do see this one cable back here, though. You got this one cable. It's just this one small little cable, but it's kind of bothering me. So maybe try to stuff this between the right side of that fan frame and like the rear I/O ports. Maybe you have like a rear I/O shield. You can stuff it between that and the fan frame. Kind of work its way up and plug it in through something in the back. If you plug it in straight up right there, you can still do something with it. You can tuck that in somewhere. That's the only thing I see, and that's me being picky. So I think with what you got there, you did very well. So that's a nice build. I'd give that, for what you got there, another 7.5 out of 10, maybe an 8 out of 10, just in terms of what you had to work with. You know, maybe not from like an overall aesthetic quality. It's not the prettiest looking build, just because, you know, it's just a Hybrid 212 Evo. Pretty generic graphics card, but again, you worked with what you had, so I like that. I'd give you a higher rating than the other guys that I rated. Nothing personal. Let's see here. Kyle Toon, Sapphire RX 580. A lot of you guys like these Sapphire cards. All right, this is gonna be good feedback for them if they watch this video. So this is looking good. The two fan design again. Looks like the shroud. I'm not sure if these are actual indents or not. I had one of these cards. I just don't remember if it was like, if you could actually feel the rivets in the shroud or not. And then these look like maybe 80 to 100 mil fans. So looking good. You can see the heat pipes there on the side. Nickel plated copper as always, looking good. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, we can't go without mentioning this one. I think this right here is probably the most clever thing that Gigabyte could have done with these cards. Remember I was talking about, right, the graphics cards needed to set themselves apart aesthetically, and Gigabyte just hit the nail on the head here. I really like this. The only reason why I don't think this is the most beautiful design overall, and I'm talking about RGB LEDs, everything else, is because the shroud itself, I mean, I understand they wanted to pretty much open it up entirely for you to be able to see, because there's only one LED per fan. So it's not like there's an LED on every fin. It's just one fin that there's an LED on per fan. And the fans spin so fast, and they all kind of sync up through the software that you can actually run cool designs and transitions with them. So, yeah, I know this isn't a cheap card by any means. I'm actually working on painting one of these. That's why you haven't seen my review, quote-unquote review of it yet. But when I get it painted white, it should look super sick. So we'll see. But anyway, yeah, I like this. I like this design a lot. It's just the shroud is just a little weird for me. That's all. That's the only reason why I didn't say it was my favorite. You also have the MSI RTX card. Look at that. Look at that. 6-pin plus an 8-pin plus an, is that another 6-pin, or I think it's another 8-pin. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that's another, excuse me, good looking one from MSI. The Trio, the gaming X Trio. So going up here, we have another GTX 1070 EVGA A6 3.0 cooler. Always love the 1070s. I really do like these cards a lot. Scrolling up again, we got the MSI card. Okay, this is cool. Yeah, I have a couple 580s that are like this. I like the dragon design. I like the backplate. I think it's a clean looking backplate here. And then MSI also did a good job with the shroud as well. It's nothing super fancy, but you know, it's a typical black and red MSI fashion. Nice fans with those really slanted blades there. Cards run pretty cool as well. Ooh, we're going old school. Absolutely a terrible choice for most users, but it looks amazing. Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with you on that one. Just gonna be honest, it just doesn't look that appealing to me. That's just my opinion. Blower style cards from Galax, that's cool and all, but like, what the heck is this crap going on here? I don't get it. Anyway, that might be like a vintage option for some people, but nah, not me. We have another picture here from his rig. This is that G12 bracket again, looking really good. 7700K delidded, 5 gigahertz. Nice build, my dude. I like this black and red color scheme. You did really good with this one. And another one, Matthew likes the Strix cards. I agree, the Strix do look good. Again, just apart from that small little caveat with the RGB sync up there, right? This color here will be slightly different than the RGBs here. Like, if you want these to be white, these will be slightly bluish. It always bothered me with that series of card. I'm not sure where this one went. It's just a brown image. I even clicked on it and there was really nothing there. So sorry, Piotr, however you say that name. Dan Smith, here we go. The Titan Jedis. That's what I want to see a picture of these. These look really cool. It's just like basically if you're a fanboy or fangirl or whatever of Star Wars, and this is, I mean, come on, like this is pretty sweet. I'd want one of these just because, just because it has some connection to the Star Wars series. Like anything Star Wars related is gonna be pretty expensive in 50 to 100 years. And then also the ROG 20 Ti Matrix. Oh, okay, yeah, this is looking nice here. I have not seen this card before, actually. And what Asus has been doing now, they did this with the cheaper RTX cards as well. You see the fan blades are connected to the frames. So I want to run some tests to see if this is actually a good idea or not. But I mean, I don't think it's going to be too big a deal. It might be slightly more turbulent, but that's a good design. I would say that's a really clean design. We have another Sapphire card here. This is a Sapphire Nitro Vega 64 card. Looking good. I like what you did there with those cables. When you don't have a custom cutout down there for cables, or maybe you don't have a basement at all, this is an option. And I like what you did with that. Looking good. That's from Broken Token Network. And then Edward 05, old 8800 Ultras in SLI, my friend. Yeah, not sure I agree with you on that, but if you have a, I don't know, if you have a thing for old school stuff, then certainly this is a contender. Just not my cup of tea. And then let's see here, we have an RTX 2070 in this one, another EVGA card. EVGA cards always look good. We saw a few more of those earlier. Nathan wants us to rate his build. So you got the Cooler Master half, all right. And you got that big old fan. Dude, I'm not sure if that's like dust or what, but if it's dust, you better clean that up. And then we got the inside here. Cooler, it's a small cooler. Like you got like a 2070 and then you got like this. I can't tell what platform this is, but it doesn't look new. Dual Intelligent Processors 2. I wish I could see more writing. I feel like it's blocked. You got this TR2 RX 850 watt power supply down here from Thermaltake. Okay. And then, yeah, I mean, you got to clean it up, dude. Like, you got dust everywhere. That's my biggest gripe with this one. You got cables kind of strode out. Like, pull all that back, tuck all that in, take some time and clean it up. It'll go a long way. Maybe upgrade the CPU cooler. I'm sure you don't need it with this older platform, but, like if you put like a top flow cooler that looked really cool, you'd have a fan just like facing you. That'd be nice. That would be something that I'd consider if you had the budget for it. Another EVGA 1080 Ti, looking good. And then Will wants to play PUBG. So I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of fun with this one, something a little different. I just wanted to, I don't know, I want to dice up these live streams a little more. We do the Q&As pretty much every time we live stream here. We've been doing them for, this is like our 36th episode now. So I appreciate you guys watching. We have about 300 people watching. That is awesome. I encourage you guys, if you have time and you missed stuff earlier in the segment, to rewind when this is archived. Check out some of the GPU shrouds, the graphics card shrouds we were looking at, and just kind of express your opinions in the comment sections below. Interesting to see what you guys think about those, the old ones and the new ones, because there are a lot of differences between the old cards and the new ones. The trends have changed definitely, so it's interesting to go back and reminisce, and then also look forward to the future designs as well. So I'm going to answer a few more questions. It's about 10 p.m. I don't want to stream too far past 10 p.m., but if you guys have questions, then I encourage you to drop those in the chat box now before we get out of here. You can see Will is spamming the Discord link. If you are not a member of the Discord, I don't know why you're not. Like, you should be. It's totally free. We don't charge anything for access to it or anything like that. You can join it. You can chat with myself, chat with Brian from Techia City. You can chat with Will, the man Will behind the scenes, and we can play some games together. It's basically all we do on the Discord. So if you enjoy doing stuff like that, just kind of goofing off, I think that's it. Nicholas is asking where Pepsi is. She's not in this room. Usually she's in this room, but she's not currently. So I think I'm kind of glad, because when she's in here and I'm talking, like making a lot of noise or whatever, I'm moving and filming and building, she's always kind of like, oh, what's going on? She'll like walk through stuff. She'll like walk inside the computer cases. I can't get in there. I got to pull her out. She'll bite cables. She's in that like adolescent stage right now. She's like a borderline teenager in cat years. So it's just a pain. But yeah. McLovin for president 2020. McLovin for president. I see you. I see you guys. I'll make sure Jacob sees those. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. Jarek, top 5 white cases. I don't have 5 cases in my head right now. I don't want to drag it out too long, but I would say my 2 or 3 favorite ones. If we're talking about all white cases, I like the Lian Li PCO Limit Dynamic White. That's one of my favorite cases to date in that price category for sure. I also like the S340 was a really good white case. I think the S340 Elite was a good, just like the next logical step, like I said in my review of the H500. The H500 also looks good in white. It's not a totally white case though. There are a few others, but the Lian Li case comes to mind first. That to me is just like one of the best looking white cases on the market. Let's see. Silver says, so your fluff monster likes to climb in your cases too, huh? I don't know what it is. I think they're just like being in like a cave, you know? It makes them feel secluded, like they have control over their environment a little more. I think that's probably what it is. You know, they're like curious anyway. They're like climbing on top of stuff and trying to figure out what's going on. Mr. KF Gaming says, man, I basically missed the show. I've missed it for the past, what seems like 2 months now. Shame on me. That's right, shame on you, Mr. KF Gaming. I'm just kidding. You can always go back and watch. This is actually a really cool episode. I think you'll enjoy the stuff we talked about. We were looking at graphics card shrouds basically the whole episode. So if this is archived, it will be archived fairly soon. You can go back if you have some time and scrub through that. Let's see here. Scrolling up. Let's see here. Yeah, Good Night says he likes the Cooler Master H500M. Yeah, that's a good one as well. I actually did a review on that as well. I built in it. It's a nice case. It's just a little too big for me. I think it's just when cases get that big and I don't know. I don't have enough hardware to fill all that space up. It just kind of bothers me. That's why I like the smaller mid-tower cases like the S340, the Meshify C, even the O11 Dynamic. Not because it has a lot of space, a lot of water cooling room, but you can fill it up very easily with some fans. You can turn your graphics card sideways. It pretty much takes up that whole, left compartment there. So anyway, you guys have been awesome. If you guys want to play PUBG with us, I'm sure we're going to jump on here very soon. I got to turn the AC on. It's boiling in here. I appreciate you guys watching. Sorry about staring at the screen the whole time. I've been reading comments as I go. But you guys have been awesome. I do appreciate you taking time out of your Sunday night or Monday to hang out with us. And be sure to leave a comment down below if you want the comment to be permanent, because it's going to disappear in the chat. Yeah, you guys are awesome. I appreciate it. And we'll be doing this again next week. I am going, I'm actually taking Lisa on a long overdue honeymoon. So we're going to be out for about 10 days starting the beginning of the next week, not this week, but the next week. So after this next Sunday, we'll be out for about a week or so. I'm going to try to get some content lined up for you guys. I won't be here to really monitor much of it, but so I won't be as active in the comments, but hopefully you guys have some time to watch those videos as well. I'll try to make them juicy for you, somewhat entertaining and not as controversial really, because for controversial videos, I like to be there. Like I like to read comments and like understand why people are saying what they're saying, and sometimes I'll argue with them. Sometimes I'll clarify something I said in the video that needs clarification. So we'll try to do something more fun while I'm gone, so it's not too stressful on my end. But anyway, stay tuned for that stuff. You guys have been awesome. I will catch you in the next video coming up here very soon. I expect Tuesday, and then again for our final live stream before I'm out for a week. So, yep, keep staying pretty, and we'll talk again very soon.